Welcome to the Sit Down. I'm your man, Rod Love. And hey, we want to welcome everybody for joining the Sit Down this evening. I have sitting next to me is the illustrious Miss Wynn. How you doing, Sister Wynn?
I am well. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I like that Erica Badu thing you got going on.
Well, I thank you. I'm trying to get used to it.
All right. Hey, and we also have tonight with us, without one of the fancy brims on, but he showed me styling and profiling, is none other than Doc Polite. See, he always has it. He always has it with
Always got one nearby.
You always got one nearby. How you doing tonight, Doc?
I'm good. How was y'all weekend?
Hey, man, weekend was great and blessed. What about yours?
Same. Highly favored.
Highly favored.
Hey, Miss Queen.
Yes.
Somebody called me Saturday and was going. I'm like, who is this? Guess who it was?
Hey, I was riding my bike. Hey, and for those of you who are watching, yes, I was riding my bicycle. Hey, maybe something a lot more people need to be doing nowadays. I was trying to get mine in, but thank you very much, Doc Polite. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, but for those of you who tuned in to the sit down, we're going to take up where we left off last week, and that is all the conversations around young people now. All the conversations around finding young people mentors, the conversation about if a young person is watching this show or desiring to say, hey, look, I'm in the situation and circumstances that I'm in. Give me some wisdom, give me some knowledge about how do I navigate around and out of this. And so we're going to continue our series, our discussion about how do we do that. And Miss Wynn, Dr. Polite, I need for y'all, because I think it's important that we also give a review quickly about what we've covered so far. And, I'm going to just go ahead and start out and then y'all jump in. But what we've covered so far was the educational inequality of what young people have to deal with. And it's just not about the education. It could also be about the vocation aspect of it. So we covered that a few weeks ago. What else did we cover?
We covered
Go ahead.
violence and crime in the neighborhood. How do we curb that from that neighborhood? Well, when you come in at night, you feel safe. You can go to sleep and you're safe.
And how do you be self-aware of violence and crime and some of the things you can do to prevent yourself, if at all possible, from becoming a victim, but also some of the things you can do to make better decisions. Doc, what was the other one? What's the next one?
The next one is poverty. That's having to deal with economic hardship. Now, the crazy thing about poverty is that every society has a level of poverty that's different. And so we have to put this in relation to American poverty. I want to make sure that we emphasize that. Having the ability to, in this society, get nutritious food, stable housing, health care, and extracurricular activities that make life wholesome. So
Well, two things that you said there, Doc, and I want to point them out. We talked about food deserts, and then something Doc just talked about, even though he was talking about me huffing and puffing. Even though he was talking about me huffing and puffing.
Healthcare, exercise.
Yeah. So hey, you know what? Sometimes me and Doc get into robust conversations about what we agree on and maybe what we disagree on. But he talked about me huffing and puffing first. But one of his things that he highlighted to stay healthy is activity. So thank you, Doc. We're not.
But now I want you to understand that I was just commenting on it, but I'm proud of you because many people at our age, they do nothing but sit there and complain. Right. So, my hat's off to you, brother, for getting on that bicycle and riding and doing all of that.
And I will say, because some people are looking at this and saying, oh, he riding his bike. Some people say I'm cheating, but it is a e-bike. But still with the e-bike, you pedal too. And so, and for those of you who want to join the e-bike club, you can look me up on the show because I tell you, getting out there, getting some vitamin D from being in the sun,
son.
riding the bike trail. I make different stops at, and I know Doc gonna say something about this, but I make different stops at restaurants on my way out and on my way back in. But it's just getting out doing something.
Okay, when
do,
you say
do
stopping
you break
and
a
eating,
sweat?
Doc,
Do you break a
wait.
sweat?
Yes, you heard me.
See, now I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm ashamed to say this. It's been a long time since I broke a sweat. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Get her back or go walk.
And that's what I plan on doing.
Wow.
I told you why my bicycle hanging in the garage.
But that takes us to number 4, and I think we covered this last week.
Yeah.
Health disparities.
Yeah.
Do we want to bring that back up, Doc?
Yeah, that's right. Cause Doc, yeah. See, we ain't gonna go there because we going through. We're giving people a briefing on what we talked about, and Doc and I got into this back and forth last week, and I apologize to those of you who had to witness that. Doc said health disparities is, he asked the question, was it a behavior or was it a disease?
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say?
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
I talked about diabetes.
Oh yeah.
Diabetes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you, Doc. Thank you. So you said diabetes. Is it a behavior or is it a disease? And we said both.
The only reason I brought that up in that way, I don't want to dismiss anybody that deals with diabetes. That wasn't my point. But in this country, we tend to sugarcoat and cover up stuff by how we label it. See, we by labeling it as just a disease, people believe it's something they have no control over. And you absolutely do have control over being a diabetic. You really do. If you talk to any doctor that's worth any amount, he will tell you, yes, you do have control over being a diabetic. But
Okay,
most
so
people don't.
Do we want to go back into that
No.
argument discussion?
No.
Okay.
No, let's move on.
So health disparity is another area that we talked about.
Yes.
What was the other one, Miss Quee?
Family instability. That comes in where it's you are in a single family home and the relationships ups and downs between your father, your mother, there's no stability for that child.
And I don't mean to disagree with my good friend Sister Wing and Doc. I'm surprised Doc didn't chime in about this, but it doesn't always have to be the absence of a man in the home to have family instability.
Mom
you
as
can,
well.
You can have a mother and a father in the home and still have instability
Yes.
because either there's a lack of leadership or there's some issues of trauma that,
Both of
And
them
that's
could
what
be
we
dealing
said,
with trauma.
grandparents.
They could be dealing with health care, health issues. All kind of things can destabilize a home.
Hey,
Some
Doc.
people just don't know how to raise kids or raise a family.
Yeah, and Doc and Sister Wynn, here's one of the topics that tie into when we talk about family instability. And yeah, we're gonna start off with this and go through the next two. But
Okay.
Doc, when we talk about family instability and we talk about the lack of responsible fatherhood, Doc just paused, so he must not have heard what I said. So
Say that again now.
I say when we talk about family instability, a good tie-in is the lack of responsible fatherhood.
Well, we can say that, but I saw a clip. I'm always researching, right? You know that about me. I saw a clip where this guy was going off on black women about, for the last 30 years, black women have been the one raising these black boys. So if anybody's the problem, it's them. And I kind of get what he was saying, but it's very misguided. We've got to stop things like mass incarceration in order to begin to turn the tide with fatherhood. FEC is sponsoring a initiative this year, and I'm glad that I'm a part of it, in which we will advocate and teach fatherhood, responsible fatherhood. In Orange County. So, it starts with us recognizing a problem and coming up with real solutions and then providing help.
Right.
We can't tear people down because they're not doing it right now. Let's give them an opportunity to educate themselves and have access to resources to help them along. Let them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I
we
think that's
can't
the key.
keep crying about responsible fatherhood, then we never take any action to assist them in becoming responsible fathers.
So Sister Wynn, when Doc talks about responsible fatherhood and he used the lead-in of mass incarceration, I really dove into it from family instability. I mean, it
All ties
dovetails and
together.
all ties together. So,
Mhm.
what are some of your thoughts when we talk about mass incarceration? I mean, really, all three of those topics. When you talk about family instability,
Yes.
I mean, because you can have family instability because somebody, don't just have to be the man, because somebody is experiencing incarceration.
Absent from the family.
And this topic, when we talk about mass incarceration, and I really tell you the truth, don't necessarily like the title mass incarceration, even though I will acknowledge that Black people are disproportionately incarcerated at a rate far higher than their population.
Yeah. And I think also too it comes with, like you said, Mr. Love, that family instability, because you have that absent parent from your household, and it's like, who do you look at for guidance if you don't have it in your household? You know, you can go to your uncles and all of that, but there's nothing like your own parents.
Yeah, but I'm going to pass the baton to Doc, because this is a topic that we've talked about many a time when you talk about who do you go to if you can't go to your family members. And Doc, I'm going to pass this to you, because this is one of the reasons that we see a lot of gang culture and gang development.
Yeah, well, you know, in social sciences, that is something that plays out, that surrogate for family, if you will. But oftentimes, to me, in my experience with it, it's a very misguided structure. Because the problem with the gang is that they are teaching you wrong. 9 times out of 10, if you're in a gang, you're involved in a criminal enterprise in some way, shape, or fashion. That gang has put you in the position of being in prison. That's not love.
That's
That's
almost
not
like
care. That's not what family ought to be doing. Family ain't, ought not be putting you in positions to become incarcerated or addicted. That's not love. It's a very misguided idea and concept that a gang is a family. But I get what they're trying to say. At least somebody expresses care about me, even if it is dysfunctional.
A sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's what it is. But I think the biggest problem in many ethnic communities is the glorification of the lifestyle that surrounds mass incarceration, because many of the people that you find are involved in mass incarceration have done some street level type of crime or something that that they learn out in the streets. And we got to look. We got to look at the fact of how it's glorified. It's glorified in culture. Go to Tubi. Most of the movies on there about Pookie got sent up the river. Now he's home and he's trying to go right. Okay, or Shaquana waited for Pookie to get out, and they trying to make a go of it. You know, all of these struggle. You know, it's like struggle theater. You know, the average black story is a story of struggle and the system against us.
But I really believe, I mean, the title mass incarceration, it's there for a reason. I don't discount disproportionate minority confinement, but then on the other side, and here's the topic, Miss Wynn, Sister Wynn, you and I have this conversation, Doc and I have this conversation. The conversation is about accountability. The conversation is also about consequences.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we don't start having these conversations amongst ourselves and our communities, and then we see crime and violence running rampant, then we're not really serious about doing something about it.
That's true, Mr.
But
Love.
see, we accept the reason of deflection surrounding mass incarceration. Think about this. Okay, let's say you live in Ocala, right? And they got a hunting area out there. I forgot what it's called. But you can go out there and you can hunt hogs, you can hunt bear and all that, right? And you know that a certain season comes up and you want to go out there, but you want to go out there dressed as a bear, and it's bear season. What do you think is the likelihood of you getting shot? You get what I'm saying? So when you look like a bear and you go where bears are hunted and you do everything a bear does, the probability of you getting shot are pretty high.
Well, you know, Doc has his analogy. I'm gonna have mine, because the other one that I'm gonna tie this into is some people reference doing what you got to do for survival. And Doc, you know, Doc and where Doc grew up, we've heard Doc have conversations about where he grew up. Doc, tell everybody where you grew up at, man.
I grew up in Orlando and Paramore. I lived on Ivy Lane in that area and across town.
And let me qualify that. Man, you got folk that live in that community that are God-fearing, good, great people. I mean, and really, it doesn't matter per se the community, because we got folk that have done some things that have come from communities that we would never imagine, middle class and high income communities. So I don't want to diminish, because I don't want to diminish those communities. Let me say that first and foremost. But one of the things that you'll hear a conversation about is people doing what they need to do to survive, coming from impoverished communities.
But see, that will lead, if you have to do what you have to do, you go to the store, you steal a pack of meat to feed your family. That leads into something else.
You're absolutely
because
correct.
if I got away with just stealing the meat, I could steal almost anything now.
And the fact that, you know, a person may have gotten caught with stealing some, shoplifting that time, it doesn't, you don't know how many times they've done it and got away with it. But to my point in case, and this helps with the segue, when somebody says, okay, so you're going to break all the rules to do what you have to do to survive. No, it comes back down to looking at what can you do within the confines of societal acceptance to be able to feed your family. And Doc, that leads us to when we talk about the next item, which is lack of mentorship and role models. Well, one of the things that it ties directly into is there's things that you can do for survival that gives you the skills that you need to survive. And this video that the audience is about to see, I think this says it all. And I mean, I'm going to give credit to Doc Polite. Doc Polite found this, identified this for this show, and it is perfect. But I want to tie it directly to young people, because when you talk about lack of mentorship and role models, we know there's Career Source out there, and Career Source, I invite you to come on and sit down. We've been waiting for you to come for a very long time. So I want to open up the door and invite Career Source to come on this show, let people know what services that you provide in terms of vocational training and things of that nature. But also there's other initiatives out there, such as Home Builders Institute, that provides vocational training. Doc, help me with Orange County VOTEC.
VOTEC. What's the one down? Mid-Florida Tech. It's another one.
And some of the skill sets that come from, I mean, it's an array of them, but certified nursing assistants,
Certified forklifting
and things of that nature. But this video, I don't want to delay it any longer, but we're going to pause for a second, because with young people in these programs that are in the Central Florida or wherever community, These are the programs that I think young people need to see, realize, and get involved in. Doc, go ahead, man, if you would.
Isaiah Clark White never considered himself a plumber, so Monday the 14-year-old prayed for no leaks to come out of this copper elbow.
We're testing to see if the pipe will leak because we soldered all these on.
When it came for the moment of truth,
It's on. All right, it's one. Good job.
a seamless soldering job helped lead to some airtight confidence.
Definitely builds confidence. I'll never be able to do this right now.
Isaiah has learned soldering and many other skills at the Build-A-Man camp, an 8-week program for young black men ages 12 to 17 that helps them learn hands-on trades.
This is low voltage, low current. You see what's coming through my fingers?
They're taught by professional tradesmen who are experts in plumbing, carpentry, and electrical. They also learn financial literacy so they can market those skills.
So with this, learning about all the trades, it's like giving me an insight to like see what I want to do with my life.
When campers start in July, it takes some a while to get on board.
Of course, most of them, when they heard about it, they're like, I don't really want to come. You know, carpentry, electrical, I don't want to do that.
But Zachary Frazier says that all changes when they get tools in their hands.
Now that they're here and they're engaged, they're like showing me how important a program like this really is.
That means a little bit of water.
12-year-old Ian Benson Mackins is finding importance in being able to help his family.
And I come from like a single mom household, so I'm like so used to being like me and my mom doing it together. And now I'm learning more and more stuff that I can help around. Like if she needs something fixed, I can go to her house and be like, okay, mom, fix this real quick.
And Coach Frazier teaches building a man means building up each other.
Every day is not going to be a good day, right? But that doesn't mean that you give up.
And he wants to show these young men the most important tool they have is community. Eva Anderson, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Hey, welcome back to the sit down. And what you just, Doc, if you would, encapsulate for everybody what they just witnessed.
Basically, Build a Man is a program in Philadelphia that teaches the trades skill sets. And, you know, it's so, I watched that clip when I first saw it. I watched it 3 or 4 times because it really resonated with me, the things that men do. Here I'm seeing black men taking care of future black men, providing them with a path forward, okay? Now they've just got to keep them from making a turn off of that path. And these guys can go on to success. I don't know when the last time y'all had a plumber in your house, but a plumber makes good money.
And Doc,
real good money. Electrician too.
And Doc, on that note, and to you and Sister Wynn, let me ask y'all, because I saw quite a few young men there. Let me ask y'all, what do y'all think really compelled those young men to show up at that program like they do? Because, you know, we've had programs that, you know, I'm not going to mention the organization, that they were paying for slots for $3,500, $4,000 for young people to go through 7 weeks and get their certification. And unfortunately, it was like pulling teeth that they had to actually go knock on the door to get these young men up in the morning, provide transportation that wasn't included to get them to the site to get this vocational training. So I ask both of you again, what do y'all believe it was the motivator for these young men to show up?
I think for me, for what I've seen, they just wanted to try something. You know, it wasn't anything that was mandatory. It was almost like our little gentleman that we're trying to help build his skills. You know, if I'm just going to go try it and see what it's all about. And like the man said, once you get that tool in your hand, and
both of y'all, I didn't mean for that to be a trick question, because I am curious, because we do have this that takes place often, that we got to figure out what can be the motivator. And Doc, you're about to say what you thought.
Looking at it, the first thing that jumps out to me is that many of these boys look cared for. They look like they have someone in their life who has invested the time in talking to them, pointing things out to them, not allowing them to get caught up in other situations, and have an idea that you need to have a direction. Then being proud that they're choosing. You know,
did you see
the little 12-year-old?
Yeah.
That says he's in a single family with his mom. and then things starting to break, they can fix it together.
They can fix it together.
Right.
But you know
So-
something? I'm glad you brought that up, because what really impressed me was this young man, the moment of truth came when they connected that water hose to this pipe that he had to weld. This, what was it, Doc or Sister Wynn? Was it like a copper?
Copper soldering.
Yeah, and so the moment of truth came to see if he soldered that correctly, because, you know, we all homeowners here. The last thing we want, like Doc said, is a leak.
Yeah.
And so the moment of truth came, and I was looking at this video, and I was looking at this young man's face. Man, you just don't know how far it goes when you have a sense of accomplishment and you see, man,
Yes. Oh, yes.
I did
I
that.
did that.
Man,
Yes.
as a young man, when you find out that you can do something that you thought was going to trip you up and impede you, when you found that, you feel like Superman. I had that. I thank God for that moment in my life when I was 19. I had something happen, and I was so afraid that I would fail at it, and I came through the thing with flying colors, and that gave me the confidence. That's where Doc got swagger. That's when I started getting my swagger.
That's when you got the swag. That's when you got the swag.
And I knew anything I put my mind to, I could do it. Nobody could outdo me. So I've always been competitive.
But here's the beauty of it. Those were young men that we were talking about. Think about how this works on different levels, because we're never too old to have that sense of accomplishment, to get our arms around something, and rolling out the responsible fatherhood initiative. And I got to give credit to Experience Christian Center, who will also be a provider in Orange and Seminole County with providing these services. But on top of that, older men that have been, let's just say, mismanaging or not understanding their finances. We have Pastor Hezekiah Bradford that has taught financial management, financial literacy. Pastor Bradford has taught this for years, and he's one of the few pastors that I can say that has a church that's been paid for 29 years. You know, I mean, really, a church that's been paid for, and you talk about almost 30 years. But Pastor Bradford also goes out and teaches. I don't know if he's done it with young people or kids yet, but I do know that he's taught financial literacy to grown men. And when we talk about financial literacy, some people think, oh, you got to have some money in order to manage some money. No, it's what you're making that you can manage. And Pastor Bradford, again, he will be part of the Responsible Fatherhood Initiative by the Florida Economic Consortium. He'll be partnering and going in and teaching men how to manage their financial literacy affairs. And you don't have to be in a situation where, oh, I'm, making six figures. No, you can be blue collar. You can be making minimum wage. And Pastor Bradford can actually come in and teach a class about how do you manage what you're making, how do you pay yourself, how do you take care of your obligations, and still have something to manage. So,
and I think with Pastor Bradford, not only that, just the whole responsible fatherhood coming together with these young men, because it depends how long they've been incarcerated. Things has changed. Your things is not the same as they were when you went in. Economy has went up.
And it's not just, when you talk about responsible fatherhood, and you're right, Sister Wynn, but it's a whole myriad of things. It's the emotional aspect, which I defer to Doc, but it's the financial aspect. And in some cases, you might have made mistakes in the past, and because we got brothers out there. When I say brothers, I'm not just talking about brothers of the same color myself. I'm talking about brothers that are part of the human race, no matter what color they are. But Doc, I mean, what are some of your thoughts about this, man?
One of the things we got to do, and I try not to be down on people who've been incarcerated, but I know the street side as well, and I know that a lot of people have played themselves into the position that they're holding. And it's often because they had nothing else going. Okay? Programs like this is a deterrent. See, if you start teaching young men how to be fathers at 15, 16, and all of this stuff is incorporated with that, and let them know what responsibility is, why you need to have responsibility, what it means as a man to have responsibility and take care of it.
Doc,
They'll look
Doc.
at like,
Hey, Doc, a hard stop because you don't even Doc don't even realize what you just said, because what you said just now is so profound, and I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you. For young people, how do you know how to grow up to be a man, to be a responsible father, if you never saw what it looks like?
There you go.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yep.
That's the key.
and that's it. And I told you, that's what made me get into mentoring, because I was worried about my son becoming a victim of one of those boys that didn't have a father.
Right. Right.
And so
Right.
I would take him and his little friends, and the thing, man, God has a way of reminding you stuff. I talked to a friend of mine Saturday. He lives where the city I used to live in, and he reminded me. He said, "Your son complaining about you." He said, "Man, y'all was inseparable, and you'd have him and all his little buddies on Saturday, and y'all go out to the ball field and all of that stuff." And I say, "Yeah, I don't think about those things because it became a second nature to me."
Right. Right.
And I wanted those kids to see a black man who was strong and unapologetic about it,
But then that goes
and
back
that
to
had a standard.
that goes
And
back
so
to what,
yeah, and
what
so
I said earlier.
go
Go ahead,
ahead.
Doc.
Yeah, and so we have to understand that, like Ross said, I love that, my brother, because you hit the nail on the head. If they have not seen it, they cannot be it. And that's just the reality.
That's
So
that
all you guys
generation.
that are not out there in their lives, y'all need to come back. We're not judging you. We telling you they need you. They need to see you. Give them the confidence that they can go forward. Even if you messed up, let them know. Take responsibility for it.
Doc just opened up the door when I talked about what would compel people to come to the table, what compelled them young men to show up, what's going to compel men to give up their time, because we're not asking of any money, anything like that. Just giving them your time to role model. But you about to say something, Swin?
I was going to say that brings it back, Doc, when that parent father wasn't around, that generational. Well, we always say, how do you break that generation curse? This is almost like a curse because you haven't seen it. So if you haven't seen it, how do you know what to do?
But I got to jump in here. Here's the hook for me. And I don't know what's the magic or the miracle to this. And it came out of my mouth. How do you know how to be a responsible father if you don't know what that looks like? Well, for me, it's totally the opposite. My father was not per se in our lives like he could have, should have been. And my father had the means, more than the means, to be responsible. But because of his fight with my mother, he didn't provide for his own children. God blessed my grandfather, my father's father, who we didn't know this until we were full-grown adults, college and all that kind of stuff, that my grandfather is the one who sent my mother money every month when his son refused to do so.
Oh wow!
And so we asked the question,
how? Now, I'm gonna tell you what that's called.
Well, I'll tell you what it did for me. What it did for me is I saw, just growing up through my experience, what a unresponsive father was. And based on that gave me the energy and the drive that I needed to be who I am today and be that responsible father.
Like
exactly.
That. I'm not going to be my father.
So I guess different motivations for
And
people.
and believe it or not, he motivated you. It was a negative motivation, but guess what? Your dealing and seeing that motivated you to be a different type of father, to be a better man than what he is. So he did contribute to your development, even if it is in a negative way. It motivates you because you was like, trust me, my story the same way. Listen, my father never did anything for me. He was a voice on the phone until I was 13. And guess what? I said I will never be a father like this.
But
Love
Doc,
my kid.
and Sister Wynn, I apologize that me and Doc doing this brotherhood thing going on. But I will say to you that I am not proud of how I came to be what I am because, man, if I could go back and turn the hands of time, I would have loved for my father to have been a responsible father and to not have only taken care of his children, but because it's not all in the money. The money plays a role from the standpoint of helping provide those necessities. But I had to look and watch my friends' fathers role model to their children what a responsible father was. And thank God that I grew up at a time that's not like this.
No,
not like this.
That's when you had the whole neighborhood taken care of.
That's when you talk about a village to raise a kid. That's when it was a village that raised kids.
Yes.
But
How do we get
again,
back to that? That's what I'm.
It's never coming back. It's never coming back. It'll
That's
never
so
come
sad.
back.
We can keep hope alive though, Doc.
No, we're not. No, we're not, Jesse. No, we're not, Jesse. We ain't keeping no hope alive. Listen. This is what has us in this pickle because we as a people are we dream. We believe in the dream. And I don't know about you, but a dream is a state of unconsciousness. What the hell can you do unconscious?
But I tell you, but you know what? See, this is what our audience loves because I'm gonna go the other way with y'all. It is because of my dreams and my prayers that I was able to get up the next morning for the last umpteen years and subscribe to this plan that I've had for myself to be successful. But it's because I went to bed at night and I dreamed about things that I wanted to see. But after you dream and after you pray, you got to wake up and get off the knees and do something.
Do something about it.
For most people, it takes a life-altering event to change behavior, sadly. That's usually a death or some catastrophic injury or condition that places them in a state of helplessness where they can no longer act and be the way that they used to. So the reality is that mostly everything that we're seeing now has become based on behaviors. And as long as society tolerates behaviors, antisocial behaviors, it's going to get worse.
But Doc, and Sister Wayne, you got to jump in here because when we talk about antisocial behavior, I think what's contributed to that was this COVID era, and COVID kept everybody indoors. It started making us meet virtually.
Yes.
It made our kids rely on TikTok and all that other
this
stuff.
right here. This right here.
We don't even know how to be human most of the time with each other. A lot of people look at the rate of confrontation that we have in society. People walking around in New York just punching people in the face, or somebody comes in your yard and kicks over your stuff and yell at you about you can't have this. I'm gonna call the police, and it's a matter of the homeowner.
Or somebody come in your yard and take down your hammock.
Yeah. You're trying to get me crunk. I ain't going there. But that kind of the sense of entitlement and absolutely having no personal boundaries on behavior is a problem, and I don't see it changing. You're not going to legislate that.
That's
look at all these Karens. Look at these Karens that are walking around and just getting in people's face.
Yeah.
and
You have to
hitting
teach,
people.
I have to teach my granddaughter my boundaries, my space.
Mm-hmm.
This my bubble. This my bubble.
You're
But let me
better
ask you
than me
this. Let me ask you this. Because we're talking about lack of mentorship and role models. When you say you got to teach your grandbabies about your boundaries and things of the nature, and I've seen you around your grandkids. Your grandkids don't think for a moment that you're their buddy or their friend. you
See, and we have to do that. You have to have boundaries with your family.
Yes. Yes. You
Everybody
really do,
has
because
boundaries.
it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Stay back. Stay back. Because I mean, it's like you're getting too close. And not only that, even in a workplace, you have to teach that boundary.
But see, I think those
But,
boundaries are something that you just don't start. You got to start.
You got to, yeah.
Like my daughters. Yeah, I've seldomly, and I have one that's 21 and one that's 17. Seldomly have I ever heard them answer an adult with, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say seldom, you know, I've been around and they may have slipped, and before I could catch them, all I got to do is turn around and they'd be like, yes, no, you know.
Look, I have to teach them to look.
But see, but that's part of that boundary, setting
Yeah.
the boundary. But you got to set them early.
Yeah, you really do.
And I love how he and his wife parent. I won't leave her out because she has to be the balance on his shoulder, because he, you know, Rod get buck wild, but them girls.
When he say buck wild, he mean I'm just rich.
But you always have a balance.
Miss Kwan have to come in there and smooth things over, because Rod will take the car and sell it.
See,
But you spend all the money in your bank account, I'm selling that car.
Hey, my girls understand their limitations with me, and but see, my girls understand. I don't settle for good. I don't settle for great. I settle for excellent.
Mm-hmm. You have to teach them
Yeah.
that. You really do. Yes.
And I'm telling you, we've had this conversation. That is going to so equip them to be women, great women, because they have learned not to just accept stuff. I don't have to accept this, you know. And my girls are older than Rod's girls. My girls are 30 and above. They're gonna be mad at us. I'm talking about the age, but they came up with the same attitude. They just don't accept foolishness. They will not compromise their values, their beliefs, just to go along to get along. And that's what we taught them.
Yeah.
That's what they know.
Yes.
And see, my daughters have learned through their father what they accept and what they won't accept. My daughters get their rigidity from me, but I'll never attest to the fact that my daughters are growing to be women based on values that they got from their dad. My wife is the one that teaches those girls how to be a woman. But boy, best believe me when I tell you, my daughters are not going to be tolerable to certain shortcomings. If you will.
Oh yes. Yes.
Exactly.
But
Not
that all
to
goes in,
accept anything.
yeah, and that falls into, again, to our listening audience, you're on the sit down, and you know we're coming down to the last 5 minutes. We broadcast this show every Monday from 6 to 6:45. What we've been working on the last few weeks is we're giving young people, but I think we're not just giving it to young people. We're giving it, you know, they say God shows favor on babies and foods. Well, I know I'm no baby anymore, so I must be one of them old fools. But what we're doing is providing the self-help, the characteristics for young people.
Yes.
And one of the things we do need older people to do, that's plain, and when we talk about lack of mentorship and role models, we need for the grown-ups to be grown-ups and step up.
Yes.
And
That's the line.
I want to encourage the audience to share these broadcasts, because these are very educational insights. We're talking from, all of us are talking very much from a professional level of our knowledge of this arena, of dealing with kids who are impacted in this way. And we certainly have a wealth of knowledge. You know, if you need some help, you can reach out to uh, uh, Florida Economic Consortium, they can get a hold of me over there. They're online. You can find them at flconsortium.org and reach out for their information. I'm in partnership with them, and I'll point you in their direction. But we have to. This is the village. This is how you do the village right here. Get the person that needs help to the right people that can help them. Okay, and like I said, the fatherhood initiative is rolling out, and if you have a young man that's a father and he needs some help, some insight, some coaching, then this is the organization you want to get him in contact with. They offering all kind of services. It's 2 minutes to list right here. We got 2 minutes, so I ain't gonna go over my limit.
Hey, and I want to go ahead and plug it. And thanks, Doc. Doc, thanks for just really doing the advertisement. But I also want to let our audience know that we're able to do this as a result of the Let's Talk Nation Network. Man, I tell you, the Doc, how many years? I mean, network has been started over.
We'll be starting on year number 7 in November, I think.
Wow.
And the Let's Talk Network, Let's Talk Nation Network, started when Greg and I was on WOKB radio.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say that we have a executive producer who really knows how to make us shine. Doc Polite, thank you. But again, Florida Economic Consortium wants to thank Let's Talk Nations Network for allowing us to be able to broadcast. But there's a myriad of things. Sister Wynn, you oversee major production when you look at services that are provided in the community. Your input on the show is invaluable. But these are the things that we have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, come and join us on Monday evenings. The number to reach me at is 407-494-2406. And once again, my name is Shaquita Wynn. Reach out to me and I'll set you up to come on the sit down with myself and Mr. Love.
Doc, she's learning how to plug, man. You gotta give her some juice. She's learning how to
There's some
plug.
coaching going on there. All right.
Yes, hey, even Armando was into it with you. Hey, well, tell you what, we're winding down. I just want to thank everybody. Please tune in next week.
You're doing good. When you first came on, you just smiled.
Hey, 10 seconds left, and then Doc wants, hey, join us for the sit down. Tune in, and hey, we want to invite everybody to join what we're doing here. So if you're an organization that's providing services, or you just want to bring some information, 407-494-2406. Join us next week on the sit down, starting at 6 p.m. We look forward to having you. Have a great week.